It's absolutely not about technology. It's about changing a 5,000 years of culture that is very, very difficult to achieve. I am actually convinced that the use of technology will not only change the way we live, but will also change the working practices and the way we work within the UN and the way we work with you in the member states. I don't know if you know, but last week the Chief Executive Board chaired by Ban Ki-moon met virtually. It's the first time. And I think it's the first time that they realized that IT is an investment in new working methods and collaboration. But it had to be triggered by something you probably all know, the Sandy storm in New York. Over the last years, ITU has been piloting, and I want to re-emphasize piloting remote participation. We've done in more than 1,000 meetings with delegates, more than 10,000 delegates, and I have to also say probably around 10,000 mistakes has been made by us. And we are saying piloting, but I really think what the member states meant when they made the resolution was use the guerrilla approach. You have to violate the diplomatic immunities and privileges. You have to violate the inviolability of your premises. You have to not have quorum in your room. Let's just go ahead and try how it works. They made the resolution for us back in 2010. We were 4,000 people in Mexico when the resolution came forward, and we should try to reduce meeting time and cost. But it was not the primary goal of the resolution. It was to improve inclusiveness, expand participation in the work of the Union, enhance accessibility, greening. There were many other items which was behind the resolution. I will say that ITU is, or has been pushed for a long time. I don't know if you know, but we have 700 industry members with us. These are companies like Microsoft, Cisco, AT&T, and they have pushed us very, very hard for a long time to move forward. The industry doesn't have the resources anymore to participate as we are always doing in the United Nations work. So now, how are we doing it? How are we trying to implement what the member states want us to do? The new resolution is basically about participate from anywhere using any kind of device. It's soon 3 years ago. I know that the whole industry is talking about it always. Anywhere, any device. We have just added one when we met with Cisco and the other companies who are using that motto. Also use any language. This is a little problem for the United Nations. But I also have to say that before we could engage on this in the UN, we needed to be paper smart. And I'd like to give you just a few statistics of our meeting we had here in January, World Radio Communication Conference. We avoided printing 100 million pages by being paper smart. And if you want to know what that is, that's 5% of the trees in Central Park in New York, or 900 tons of CO2 emission. A significant effort for us has been training and coaching, assistance to change this kind of meeting culture. We are training our chairman, who has the conference. We train our conference secretaries, our remote participants, and our staff. It is an effort you should not underestimate. And I think we have to say that we have all been used to the culture of sitting in the room having a quorum. Now we are going to meet, not virtually, but we are going to have remote participants into the meeting. I have to say it's extremely easy when you have a meeting with 400 people in the room and 50 remotely to forget the remote participants. And it's not so easy when you're remote just to raise your sign and be seen. You have to press the button and raise your hand. It's a cultural change. I also want to say that we are hosting the Model of the United Nations 9th, 10th, and 11th of January. 400 students will be coming to ITU to play United Nations for 3 days and draft resolutions and working committees. We have also decided to offer them remote participation so they can start working the way we are actually asking our delegates and sector members to work. Let me also give you a kind of example of savings. For 10,000 participants not coming perhaps to Geneva, that can easily be 15 million in reduced travel and accommodation cost for delegates coming, for example, to Geneva or any other place we have the meeting. And that's really real savings. It's not savings which I'm making, but it's savings that the member states themselves are making by perhaps not coming, but it was not the intention that it should be for doing savings. It was our intention that you may be able to send 10 people to the meeting and have 20 participating remotely. As I said, I think the most challenging issue for us is interpretation. We have interpretation with 6 languages in our meeting. Not all the 1,000 meetings we have done have had interpretation, but several number of them are having it. And we have to give the remote participants the same facility as if you sit in the meeting room. Choose the language in which you speak. speak and listen to the language in which you prefer to listen. And I have to say, while the standard telephone system, which we have had in place here, and I know that ITU is probably guilty for that, for the last 150 years, while that might be good enough for all of us to talk to each other worldwide, it's absolutely a substandard for our interpreters. They would refuse using this kind of quality for interpreting. We have had examples here, and I'll just give a few of them. The remote participant has probably spoken from his iPhone, driving in the car, being blown up in 5 times 10 meters in the meeting room and asking us, please, just a second, leaving the telephone on the seat. That was enough for the interpreters. They switched off and said, no more. What we have done now, we have recruited quite a number of different people to help us, mostly students, but we also recruited a disc jockey, a DJ, because DJs, they know the consequences. If the sound is not good in the room, your audience is gone. And what we actually do now, before we bring the remote participants to the floor, we take them into, like CNN or BBC will do, into a staging room. We tweak the quality of their voice, we change the frequencies, we help them with how to speak in the microphone. For example, it's very bad to have the light behind you. You really look like a terrorist. We cannot see your face, isn't it? So put the light in front. It might be inconvenient for you, but it's very nice for the 400 people in the room. We help them with all these things. We do manuals, we do training sessions. So these are kind of things of cultural change. If you should come to other technical matters, the reliability of the communication, authentication and security. What do we do if we lose the connection to a remote participant? Do we stop the meeting until we have the connection reestablished? What do we do if we were going to have quorum and we should vote and the delegate remotely switched off himself to block the meeting, or perhaps we would do it from the ITU side, not to have the input from the delegate? There are many, many challenges. That's why we are still piloting. That means the guerrilla approach. We continue to do it with violating all the rules. We also have to handle the issue of immunities and privileges. We are very, very good. We know how to do the meetings on our premises. Now we are moving towards security in cyberspace. We are moving away from the inviolability of our archives on our UN premises. Actually, do we have jurisdiction of the data when we have them in cyberspace? Accreditation and verification of participants is another challenge. Just because I can see you on the video, how can I be sure that you are the one I see? There's no guarantee. What about quorum and voting? How can you be authenticated and be anonymous and at the same time vote over the internet? You have to understand, for ITU, if we are going to put it in place, in the year 2014, we will put a proposal forward to the plenipotentiary in South Korea. They will have to vote on it. We will have to change our legal instrument if we are able to do it. So I think they have been very forward-looking, the governing body in 2010, to say that we should pilot it. We will have done it 5,000 to 10,000 times before we are going to vote on it. So it will all be about an experience. It's all about building, actually, trust and confidence in IT. And I think that our governing body is willing to pilot. We also have with the governing body all the industries, of course, which are pushing us to do it. I can also be honest with you that we do not have the answers to all the challenges we have in front of us right now. I report every year to the governing body what the challenges are. We are now establishing a working group, a virtual working group with member states looking at the legal challenges. What are we going to change in our constitutions and legal instruments? And I just want to say that while this sounds all scary for us right now, what about the future in front of us? I've just visited the management of Google in California, and I see that they are now going away from the traditional document management. We are not going to have versions anymore of our documents. Everybody can work on the same document at the same time. We will have audit trail, and you can just sit and drag the bar underneath, and you can see what the status of the document last year, next year. What's our legal people? What's our procurement people? What's our document management librarians going to say about this? And the last thing, and then I will conclude, is that I also noted that the big data analysis was presented to me both by Google management and the day after by Microsoft management. It's completely changing the way we work. Today, you will not look at statistics looking backwards. You will look at actually forecasting what we are doing, what people are thinking, what people will be doing. They will have your position from your mobile device. So if you stop in front of a Louis Vuitton shop, they will send you commercials 5 minutes later to your email account when you log on. It's all available out there. So for us in the international organizations, we will have to engage on the same. We will have new sources of information coming in. And that's, I would say, this is just the beginning. In concluding, I believe that the risk to the UN of not providing you as member states with these new services of collaboration and remote participation, that the risk of not doing that are higher for us than the challenges with implementing it.